Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and had a subscriber who linked me this, and apparently came out a couple days ago. A video by Rich Piana's new girlfriend, I guess she's previously been an ex, talking about the fact that he now has basal cell carcinoma. So let me put on my +5 hat of weaponsmithing, do a little bit of crafting, see if I can skill up, and let's talk about this. Alright, this is going to be obviously pretty big news in the YouTube fitness world, which is why I was asked to talk about it, cover it. Now I know Rich is not going to see this video because, truth be told, people have a lot of misconceptions out there that when smaller channels, smaller than a main channel, make videos about people that they watch them all. So I can assure you Rich does not have time to watch even 10% of the videos people make about them. The odds that he's going to see my video is almost non-existent. So it's not like I have to worry about really anything I say in that regard, or he's just not going to see it, basically, guys. And I'm probably going to give him some advice here, but that advice is not so much for Rich, but more for other people who are out there, maybe make it a learning lesson for you guys. Now, I also want to state, I don't have any personal beef with Rich Piana. Rich Piana has never done anything to me personally. He's never insulted me. He's never said shit to me. So he probably doesn't even know that I exist. And that's okay. But that being said, even though I might not always like all of his tactics, all of his antics, all of his methods, the guy has never personally wronged me in any way. I think it sucks that he has cancer. You know what? I feel bad for the guy that he's got cancer. I think it sucks. I think it's terrible. And I wish him a speedy recovery. I honestly hope that he overcomes this, gets through it, gets treatment, comes out of it healthy and fine. That is the only energy I want to put into that. A lot of people will say stuff like, well, he's done this or that, so, you know, fuck him. I hope he dies. You know what, man? You don't want to put that type of energy out there in the universe, guys. A lot of you guys say things like that online. But, man, the universe has a way of coming around and biting people in the ass. You start putting energy like that out there towards other people, particularly someone who's never wronged you. You never know how that's going to come back at you. You're going to end up finding you or someone you love getting cancer, and then you're going to remember you said something like that, and then, you know, you're going to wonder if you got some bad karma, some bad juju from it. Don't put that type of energy out there. And that's why I'm not going to put that out there for this. Rich has never wronged me. He's not an enemy of mine. So no, I think it's terrible that he has cancer, and I hope that he beats it. Because that's a shitty way to go down. I've seen someone die of cancer that I cared about. It sucks. So yeah, I wish him all the best. Now, that being said, I do worry. You know, you guys watch Rich, and the reason I worry is not so much about Rich. Rich is a grown man. If he wants to do things that endanger himself and kill himself, more power to him. That's it. It's his body, his life. He's a 40-something-year-old man. You know, if he wants to take risk, that's his business. That's his right. I only worry about the younger, more impressionable guys. That's all I care about with this. Rich abuses drugs. Rich abuses his body. You know, we saw this whole thing. All these people went and did bigger by the day when they watched him doing it. He had to quit it due to health risks. He was having some health problems. We don't know what all of them were. At least if he talked about it, I didn't hear it all. But he had health problems from it. It was a big concern. That much gear at his age, eating that much food, that's dangerous. That's dangerous, and it could have killed him. And I said when he put his stack up, when I reviewed it, this could kill him. What he is doing could kill him. He could be dead by the end of the year if he follows through with this. It's risky. In fact, I'd say maybe 10-15% chance this is going to kill him this year. He got some health scares and he quit the bigger by the day. Smart move on his part. He should have quit. He should have not done it in the first place, but you know what? He likes to be over the top. The guy's an over the top guy. That's just the way he chooses to live his life. That's the image he chooses to put out. You know, that's just who he is. I guess that's basically asking someone to change who they are fundamentally. Usually doesn't work when you tell somebody to do that. So he took a lot of risks. And the thing is, you know, you've got to look at the other things. He's a white guy. He's a pale guy. Yeah, I know he's, I guess he's part Italian, full Italian, something like that. So a little darker, but look, I can explain how this pigment thing works, guys. Your pigment in your skin color, completely revolves around how much sunlight there was in the part of the world where your ancestors came from. I'm pale. Rich is pale. We are not supposed to be exposed to large amounts of repeated light, UV rays, sunlight, tanning beds over and over and over. All right, if we had done that in the wild, our ancestors got cancer. All right, we developed light skin because we went to parts of the world, our ancestors went to parts of the world that have less sunlight. You have too much pigment and there's no vitamins available, no vitamin D fortified in foods like there is today. You go to a darker climate, you get a vitamin D deficiency. All right, that can cause all sorts of health problems for you and even kill you in a worst case. Our ancestors developed lighter skin because we weren't getting enough sunlight. All right, we needed it to get vitamins. And by that same token, you take synthetic vitamins away, darker skinned people will have health problems in darker climates that are further north, higher up in the mountains, they'll have health problems. The reason foods are fortified. By that same token, those of us whose ancestors got lighter from going up to these other climates, we don't do well with a lot of sunlight. We get skin cancer. That's why we have hats, that's why we have sunglasses, that's why we have sunscreen, that's why we cover up. We're not supposed to be getting the amount of sunlight that we get in places like California, where he lives, Texas, where I live. All right, there's a reason I wear hats everywhere. Reason I have some prescription sunglasses. There's reasons we do these things. There's a reason I put sunscreen on. There's a reason you guys don't see me tanning. Guys are like, well, you might look better tanned. You know what? I don't care. I don't want cancer fucking bad enough. I don't want to look better bad enough to get fucking cancer. All right, not doing it. You combine all that. He's dark. He tans a lot. All right, that's going to put you at higher risk of cancer. Hell, that's what killed Reg Park. One of the most famous bodybuilders from previous eras. That was Arnold Schwarzenegger's inspiration. Skin cancer is serious business. You guys are doing all this bodybuilding stuff and getting all these tans and your lighter skin. You need to understand it can give you skin cancer. It can kill you. I don't recommend taking that risk. It's just not worth it. I mean, it's your life. I'm not going to tell you how to live your life. So I guess a better way to put that would be understand the risk. Live your life the way you want, but understand the risk that you're taking. All right, you can find that with the fact that Rich does IGF-1. Eats tons of sugary foods when he's bulking. All right, he did that bigger by the day. IGF-1 and eating large amounts of refined sugars is linked to higher cancer rates. We know that circulating IGF-1 in the bloodstream increases cancer rates. He was pinning IGF-1 and stuff. That's going to predispose you to not only cancer, but faster cancer growth rates. He could have had some melanoma start on his skin as a result of all the tanning that he had there, because he had several of them apparently removed. Then he did his bigger by the day, and it started growing. All right, it's that combination. We get cancers all the time. All humans get cancer. We get lots of cancers throughout our lives. Our body fights them off before they get too big. In his case, there's a very real possibility the cancer tumors that he got started, some of them grew too fast from his bigger by the day program that he did with the drug and the foods that he did with it. It could have caused those tumors to start growing, those cancer cells to start growing faster. They were already started from all the tanning. See where this is going? I mean, this is risky behavior. It's a risky lifestyle. And like I had said before, he doesn't need to do this program. It's going to be risky for him to do what he was doing, the drug stack he was doing, the food that he was doing. It was risky. And what we're seeing right now could still be an after effect. I mean, he quit doing it because of the health risk, but that doesn't mean that you didn't cause some other problems. There could be problems with his heart that come out that were exacerbated by that. And he'd be like, well, I did it a year ago. You know, what's wrong? And the doctor would be like, well, the damage caused from what you did is catching up with you now a year later, 2 years later. Same thing with the skin cancer. It very well, I'm not saying that it did, but it would make sense that it could have contributed to it. It could be the reason he has these now. It could have caused them to grow faster. And that's stuff that you guys got to factor in when you start going into these sort of lifestyles. You start doing way too much food, massive bulks, massive amounts of drugs. You need to factor in that just because you don't have a problem immediately doesn't mean a year or two down the road that what you're doing isn't going to catch up with you and cause you health problems. You guys got to think this stuff through. Younger guys, stop and think about it. Use Rich as an example there. I know he has a big following. I know a lot of you love what he does. But you know what he just did gave him some health problems that he had to quit what he was doing. Now he's got skin cancer. You guys got to think this stuff through and you start saying, man, I'm paler, but I'm going to go tan a bunch. I want to be out in the sunlight a bunch to get darker because I want to look more ripped. I want to look bigger, leaner. I'm going to go use IGF-1. It turns out IGF-1, I get it at a good price. It's a pretty decent price. I got a source for it. I'm going to eat tons of sugar with it too, so I can bulk and get bigger, because it's going to keep, this drug stack's going to keep me from getting fat, so I can get away with eating all this. See how this goes? You start stacking all these risk factors together, and sometimes it comes around to bite you in the ass. And you know, and I know a lot of guys who follow that are like, yeah, but you know, we're the 5%ers. We're the 5% who will do whatever the fuck it takes to reach our goals. But sometimes doing whatever the fuck it takes to reach your goals gives you cancer. There is literally nothing you're going to achieve in the short term that you're going to enjoy for 6 months, a year, 5 years. There is nothing you're going to achieve in the short term for just a few short years that is ever going to be worth cancer. I have seen someone die of cancer. Someone I loved, I watched them die from cancer. It's fucking horrible. Like, they had such a shitty existence for like 6 to 9 months. I mean, watching that person deteriorate. And they went through chemo, and the continual agony they were in. I mean, their life was suffering, like 9 months of fucking suffering. You know, guys, you got to think these things through and stop and think through. You know, is what I'm doing in this short term that I'm going to enjoy for a few years, is it going to put me at risk of cancer? Is it going to put me at risk of dying a slow, terrible death? Or a slow, terrible process that maybe I'm going to be strong enough to beat it. You know, because a warrior mentality has kept many, many people alive through cancer who've beaten it. But you know what? Oftentimes they go through a year of fucking hell. They go through a year of fucking hell beating it. And then when they're done and they are a shell of their old self, they lose all their muscle, their hair, they fight all of it, and they go through all of it to rebuild themselves. Then they look and they're so far into medical debt that they're broke afterwards too. You know, and then they're in debt that they're having to try to repay. You know, you think these things through, guys. And I don't want to tell any of you how to live your life. You're a grown man or a grown woman. You can decide for yourself how to live your life. That's part of being an adult. But also part of being an adult is stepping back and being able to seriously assess the risk of what you're doing and asking yourself, is what I'm going to get out of this going to be worth the price that I might pay for it? And how likely am I to pay that price for it? And that's what only you have to sit down and ask. And that's part of maturity. That's part of being an adult. That is part of learning to make your own decisions, is to sit down and assess the risk of all of it. And really think through the consequences. Because a lot of guys say, well, this won't happen to me. I can do this or I can do that. But some of it's happening to Rich. Some of it's happening to Rich. But Rich has got enough money that he can afford good doctors, probably has amazing insurance, everything else. If you don't have Rich's type of money, getting cancer might not go nearly as well for you as you think it will. You know, and he's going through it, but he's got the resources that he can probably afford the best doctors, make it as comfortable as possible, giving him a better chance of beating it, making maybe the misery a little less. You know, if you're someone who makes 30, 40, 50,000 a year and you don't have like just amazing insurance, the fight might be a lot harder than it's going to be for someone like Rich. So weigh this stuff out, guys, when you start deciding what all you're going to put into your body, what drugs you're going to use, if you're going to go get tons of tanning, what your diet's going to look like. Because the other thing to remember, too, a lot of guys do stuff with their diets for bodybuilding purposes or muscle building purpose and everything else, but they don't stop and ask, how is this diet going to affect me in the long term? Yeah, okay, I can eat a bunch of Pop-Tarts every day and hit my macros, but is this going to cause me diabetes down the road? Is it going to contribute to cardiovascular disease? Is it going to contribute to cancers? If I eat this really shitty diet, or is my training and the rest of my lifestyle going to be enough to offset it? I don't know. But those are questions you should all be asking. They're questions that need to be asked. They're questions that are worth asking. And so use Rich as an example. Those of you who look up to him, you enjoy what he does, sit back and look at some of the prices that he pays for some of this too, and realize that just because you do what Rich does, just because you go on Rich's drug stack, just because you eat like he eats, just because you train like he eats, doesn't mean that you're going to have the rest of his lifestyle. You guys need to understand, there are a lot of guys out there in the whole bodybuilding game who are damn near broke. All right, Rich has made his money as a side thing separately from a lot of that. He's been successful in other business endeavors that aren't fully related to the amount of muscle he's gained. So please don't mistake those two together and think that Rich's lifestyle and the Bentley And the nice house and everything is purely because he used a bunch of drugs and eats 10,000 calories a day when he bulks. There's a lot more there going on to his life than that. So keep that in perspective, fellas. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.